crypto gaming tokens are going to make people millionaires in this next bull run. We already know that gaming is the best use case for NFTs and blockchain. And when you look at a huge gaming company like Gala and what they're doing, it's surprising that people are still bearish. But today we're going to take a look at how big Gala can get in the bull run. And I'm going to give you 5 reasons why this token is going to explode over the next year. It's mission time. Welcome back, agents. Secret Agent Stash here. We are at GIA headquarters, and we have a very important intel report for you guys today. This is all about Gala Games and some of the major updates we've seen here over the last month. Now, we know that we're starting to see a little bit of the bull run starting to return. The bulls are back just a little bit, baby. Let's go! But we don't know that we're really at the point where it's going to skyrocket. I think we're not going to be at that point until 2024. But right now is a good time to start looking at accumulating some of these tokens, as we know the interest is starting to come back, but prices are still fairly low. We're going to take a look at Gala today, and I'm going to give you a couple of reasons why I think Gala could easily do a 10x. Now, will all these reasons result in it maybe being a 5x or a 10x or maybe even a 100x? We're going to be looking at that today and the case for each one of those and what is most likely here in the bull run due to these 5 major reasons why you might want to be looking at Gala token right now for a long-term hold. Because I am. All right, let's jump into it. We're going to go look at the charts here real quick, and then we're going to take a look at some of these others. But the first one has to do with the charts. Reason number 1, let's go. Okay, so here we are at the Gala chart. It's sitting at about 2 cents right now. This is the price that's kind of been about this entire bear market. We haven't seen too much fluctuation, and you can see here in the long-term chart, we're talking about just before the last bull cycle, just slightly before that, heading into this last one. It was about the same price that time as it is right now, actually a little bit better. But before it started taking off, it was at about the 2 cent-ish mark. We saw a dip, where you can see here late in September in 2021 to about where we're a little bit, about where we're at right now. But most of this bull market, it has been around the 2 cent mark. We saw a little high of 5 cents earlier this year, in the beginning of January of 2023. But not much price action other than that. Now, here is one of the big things. Now, when we talk about reason number 1, what is going on? Everyone's like, why can't we get some action on this token? Why isn't it pumping? And it hasn't. We saw a lot of other game tokens pump here over the last week, but this one has not. But here are a couple of reasons. We're going to start with number 1. Number 1 reason comes down to the max supply and the total supply and the market cap for this coin. When it comes to max supply, Gala has a max supply of 50 billion. Right now, there is a total circulating supply of about 25 billion, with a total supply of about 27 billion. Now, this reflects a massive token burn that Gala did earlier this year that was about 20 billion tokens. It was a significant amount of the supply and almost half of the max total supply. Now, people think, oh, well, if they burned 20 billion tokens, that means the max supply should go down by 20 billion. But that's not correct. That is not correct, right? The thing is that Gala works a little bit different. So if you're going to compare Gala to and Ethereum, these things are a little bit similar, more so than they are to Gala to Bitcoin. So with Ethereum, there is no max supply. You can just keep creating Ethereum forever. There's no ceiling, right? So why they have a deflationary mechanic where Ethereum is being burnt as it's also being created. Now with Bitcoin, as a max supply of 21 million, and nothing can ever be created after that, right? So if those tokens are burned, they are gone forever, right? If Ethereum tokens are burned, you can create more Ethereum tokens. But there's no max supply. Now, Gala sits in between those, right? So it has a max supply, but when you burn tokens on Gala, in particular when we talk about tokens that have been burned through purchases as well, these are essentially going back into a unminted pool of Gala that they can actually mint for other reasons, right? So this is something we see whenever we talk about new Gala being minted. In particular, it comes down to the founder nodes minting out brand new Gala as rewards. And so that's why the max supply has not changed, even though they burned 20 billion tokens. So now those tokens are just sitting there, hanging out, ready to do something. Now my good buddy Dr. Wookie actually describes it pretty well. Here's Wookie right here. You can see my buddy Wookie. He made a cool graphic, and I gotta give him props to this because he's done really great on breaking this particular aspect down. But you pay with Gala, it gets burned. That burned Gala, for simplified terms, goes into the unminted Gala pool, right? And then from that unminted Gala pool, and of all unminted Gala, they're pulling the founder nodes rewards, right? And then founders get rewards. They can sell them into the back into the greater marketplace, and then we have that whole circle, right? People then buying Gala, using Gala for transactions, or using it to buy assets on the actual games that they love. So this is one of the big factors that people I think don't really realize about Gala, and this actually makes me bullish. It puts the chain itself and Gala as a token in this kind of sweet spot between how Ethereum works and how Bitcoin works. So, but that is something to keep in consideration. Could it be a max supply of 50 billion at some point that is circulating? It could, but I don't think that's really the goal. When you talk about long term, Gala wants to get to somewhat of a deflationary mechanic, and they have those things in place, but we just don't have the amount of user base and activity on the games as of yet. But that brings us to point number 2, right? Point number 2 of why I'm bullish on this. But this is a big point right here. The fact that the circulating supply and the max supply, if they've all been fixed now. This was a problem for Gala for actually quite some time. But now that people know this, I think it makes a lot of sense. That max supply is not going to change. It's always going to be 50 billion. So when we talk about Gala moving forward, and though the Gala as a token, right now, the Gala token itself doesn't have a ton of utility, right? There's not a lot of areas where you're actually using the Gala token for things on their platform, but that has been slowly changing with the launch here of Gala Chain. Gala as a token is going to be the gas token for everything on Gala Chain. And that means every game, every film, every song, every music album that's launched through Gala, they'll be using a lot of these things as the gas for those particular different ecosystems. And those ecosystems can have their own tokens too, but you're still gonna have to use Gala to pay for a lot of those things on those platforms. So Gala Chain has officially launched, and it is a customizable, dedicated L1 blockchain. Now, the interesting thing about this is they say transactions per second, unlimited transactions, and that seems like nonsense. It's crazy. People say this all the time. You see blockchains saying, we could do 1 million TPS. But the fact of the matter comes is that this is usually not under stress. It's not at peak times, and it's only with one thing working at a time. Most chains will never be able to get to that. Even Gala, even though they say transactions per second could be infinite, I don't know that would ever technically be the case. I mean, will it be slow? Will it be able to do it? I mean, there's still going to be bottlenecks for this, right? Because it just comes down to resources. Scaling of resources is not infinite, and will be a problem when there are some larger downtimes. But I think the interesting thing about this is that they say that one of the most important things about this is the finality, and that is actually a very important fact here. A lot of other chains don't finalize their transactions immediately, so you may have to wait 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 5 seconds sometimes for there to be finality, which means that this is a final transaction. You can count on it, right? Gala says instant finality, which is great for developers. They want something like this, right? So it's going to encourage people to build on this chain. If there's instant finality, that means they don't have to worry about a transaction getting stuck or hung up. Very important, great point number 2. Now when it comes down to this, like, okay, great, well, Gala as a token is going to get more use case because anything building on Gala Chain, it's going to be used as gas, right? In addition to other ways that Gala can be used, but that is going to be one of the main deflationary mechanics, because then anything being purchased on Gala is also being burned, right? So if you buy something from the Gala store, that Gala you used is being burned, is now out of circulation, but not out of the total supply, as we talked about earlier. Now, Gala has a ton of games being developed right now. You guys know this. We talk about it all the time. We pop our collars and we head into Gala Games almost every week. But they have a ton of games that are being developed and built, and all these games are going to be using Gala for the gas on their system. Legacy just launched. Champions Arena launched and kicking ass on mobile. Dragon Strike launched and on mobile. Poker Go Play also launched, browser-based and also mobile. Spider Tanks launched. Common Ground World, not my favorite, but also still launched. Superior launched. We got a bunch of games that are out, still working on things. Grit launched. Meow Match launched. We're working on a bunch of these other games. Walking Dead launched. Last Expedition, you can play it. I wouldn't consider it launched right now. Now the difference is only a few of these games are actually on Gala Chain. Only a few have been ported over from what they had before to what they have now with Gala Chain. Now it's been finalized. So there are not as many, options for transactions or for those fees, right, for Gala to be used just yet, because we're still porting those games over. So this is another big factor, right? Lots of games and more coming, which means more tokens being burned. Then we also look at outside of games. Well, we got Rep. Rep is a brand new social media that they're working on, and we call it a social media, but really it kind of works more like a Pokemon Go, social connected, gamified hunt in real life, right? You're using maps, you're finding things, maybe a chest, you've solved that riddle, boom, you go find that, and you're walking around and doing it, which is another cool application for Gala Chain and for a Gala to be used as well. Now, in addition to those things, we still have Gala Music, which has been actually pumping out some good releases, and pretty consistently. Gala Music doesn't get the actual kudos that it deserves very often. This will be another area where we could see a lot of the use case being there, right? Now, you may not be earning Gala tokens on this platform, but once these things are pushed over onto Gala Chain, there are going to be use cases for the Gala token itself as a gas token, right? Same thing with film, Gala Film. There's also some. I would say they're doing less with the film side of things, and there'll probably be less going on there. But once again, all part of the ecosystem pushing everything Gala is doing is forward. All right, number four. We're breaking them down. So we talked about Gala Music and Gala Film as being another part of that, right? So we have the games, right, being high utility, but then also outside of that, Gala Music and Gala Number Film. Now, to kind of bring this all back around, we also have one of the largest detractors to this, and the fact that there is a big looming legal settlement that is going to happen here, right? So with Gala Games, we know that the both CEOs and co-founder, or the CEO and co-founders, Eric and Wright Thurston, have sued each other, and this is currently in, it's not in a trial, but it's currently in a state of being taken care of, right? We don't really know what state it's in, but this doesn't directly involve Gala in as much of the way as you would think, right? If you want to dive into this, we're not going to get into that today. I made a whole breakdown video about this about a month or so ago. You can go check that out. But the interesting thing here is, while this continues, and it is an X factor for Gala, even though depending on, regardless of kind of which way it goes, it probably won't affect Gala as a company that much, but really mostly affect these two individuals themselves. Now, an interesting development in this case is that Wright Thurston, one of the other co-founders of Gala that was in that suit, was also being sued by the SEC for his other company called Green United, where he was selling these loot boxes essentially, and these green boxes, and thinking that they were going to be mining these digital green tokens. And this suit was thrown out by a judge. Funny enough, because this does sound scammy as all hell when I read this, right? It was thrown out by a judge. Now that is not this case. That is not Schurmeyer versus Thurston. That is SEC versus Thurston, or really his company, Green United, right? But what that means too is that at least this is off of Gala, because this was something like, hey, a Gala founder, he is being sued by SEC, and this was a big thing for a lot of people. Well, hey, why buy a token from a company whose founder is being sued by the SEC? Because a lot of people think, hey, what's the next step? It's Gala's going to be sued, right? So there we go. 5 reasons. I followed up here with the last reason of the SEC dropping the suit against one of the Gala co-founders. But here's our 5 reasons why I do think this token is going to perform really well. Now we talk about how many X is it going to be? How many X could it be, Stash? Well, you know, saying 100x is kind of ridiculous in a lot of situations. People want to use that to hype up, you know, their token videos. But what can this token really legitly do? Now, if we talk about, you know, just getting back to some of those basic all-time highs that we've seen, where Gala was at about, you know, what, 83 cents all-time high, 83 cents, and that was in 2021. Now, to get back to there, that's a significant increase. But it's not a 100x increase to get back to all-time high. Do I think that Gala Games could get past an all-time high? Sure, it could. But I think realistically, you can easily get a 10x out of this. And so I have no problem calling a 10x out of Gala. I mean, that's getting to 20 something cents at this point. Do I think it can get to that? Yeah, I definitely think it can. I think it can for sure. So my modest prediction here would be I could definitely see it 10xing. And getting to that level. Do I think that it can really get to 100x? I think it would struggle. I could possibly see something like a 30 to 50x for something like this, right? But outside of that, I would be a little bit hard pressed to say that we could do a significant more than that. And I would be happy if we could. I would be happy to be wrong. I would be happy to be wrong. But my opinion is 10x here for Gala. No problem. No problem. Buying at this level, at around the 2 cent level, will you easily get a 10x out of this? Yes, you will. No doubt, especially in the top of the bull run. It's all about timing the markets right, though, right? It's all about timing that market right. Well, there you go, agents. 5 reasons why I think Gala Games is going to continue to be great in this bull run. Now might not be a bad time to look if you're looking to load some of those bags up. I know I am, and I'm going to be using this to you know, guide my future decisions here as we enter to this bull run. Well, that's what we have for today, agents. Until next time, Secret Agent Stash, over and out.
Secret Agent Stash. Secret Agent Stash.